Welcome to the Art of Volunteering. I'm your host, Stormy Bell. So let me ask you, in that, if you can say in 60 seconds or less, what motivates you to volunteer?
The need underground. When you see someone struggling and you know you can make an impact, not only to help them today, but you can give them the tools to move forward. I feel like there's no greater upliftment to do. When you're coming up, you have to bring other people up with you.
My next ask is, you've kind of said it, but like just to emphasize it, if you were to encourage someone else to volunteer, to get involved, what would you say to them?
So it's interesting. I would say, what are your interests? Because you can have an impact there. What do you care about? Because you can have an impact there. And I would start there. And then my expectations for the next stage of that conversation would be, where are you in your life how much time do you have? What do you want it? How do you want to give back to that cause that you're interested in?
Amazing. You said, how many volunteers do you have worldwide?
We estimate that we've had more than 40,000, between 40 and 70. Currently, there are tens of thousands interacting, and it's really been incredible because they're really the heartbeat of how people learn more about this, of the advocacy that's grown. And volunteers have connected us with heads of state, with departments of education, and created opportunities for Days for Girls curriculum and program to be part of a whole national movement and many places in the world, thanks to volunteers. And honestly, our issue has not been whether you can trust them to work hard. We often have people say, can you trust a volunteer with that? But we have the opposite problem, making sure they don't work themselves to oblivion, because they're so passionate, so dedicated, and so reliable. It's amazing to watch them in action.
Why do you think they're so dedicated?
I think that it is a powerful thing to have action steps that really make a difference.
Amazing. Simply amazing. Okay, you have school groups, but what motivates volunteers to come to you? Like, how do they maybe hear about you? What makes their passion rise up that they want to spend an hour to 2 hours every week or once a month?
I think that's a really good question, because obviously there's a component of that where corporations do this as part of their CSR activities. So somebody is assigned to a volunteer visit as part of their corporate engagement. And schools, kids need service. So there is some of it that is sort of mandated, but that I would say is a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of it. What I think is so amazing that people come into our warehouse and they may not know very much about us. But by the end of really our orientation, they know that every single thing that they touch while they're in the warehouse is going to be in the hands of a kid who hasn't got what they need to be successful. So everything they touch in a matter of days will be out with a kid making a difference. And I think it's the fact that the work is meaningful.
Like how are you integrated into the community?
The gallery is actually part of our Arts in the Neighborhood committee. The gallery space, the kids' crafts, those kind of things come under Arts in the Neighborhood. But because Lycoming Arts does do Williamsport First Friday, and we solely run that, we decided that would be the perfect time for us to launch our new artists every month. I mean, we're already bringing the crowd. So the way we've incorporated that is, we do build them both together so that we have a, nice cohesive product to put out to the community. Everything is free to the public.
Mm-hmm. So Lycoming Arts is the umbrella organization, but there are 6 different committees underneath it. So there's First Friday, and then Arts in the Neighborhood, which is what Debbie was just talking about. We also have Public Artworks, and they do art installations throughout the city, like large scale mosaics on buildings or sculptures, things like that. They're currently working on a a water feature at a community garden at the hospital. And then we also have a film component, storytellers, and performance art. So there's a lot of different committees underneath Like Coming Arts. It's not just First Friday. We do all sorts of things.
By far, First Friday is our most visible.
It's our most visible, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's awesome. All right, let's start with how volunteering is actually super complex. I'd love to hear your take on it.
I think volunteerism can be a really rebellious act in a lot of ways. You're kind of acting on the outskirts of a larger system. And sometimes, I think almost always, it is one of the most critical acts to supporting community and, really what it takes to get the job done.
Okay, so why does SAP value corporate social responsibility?
Really for us, I think that we recognize that as a global leader, one of the biggest companies in the world, we certainly do have a responsibility. It's right there in the name of our team, right? Corporate social responsibility. We do have a responsibility to share and leverage the resources that we have at our disposal.
So to get all of this done, what does your volunteer team look like?
So that's a great question. Because Right to Matter is not a huge company and, we're small. It is all through word of mouth. So it's always asking a friend, or if I'm at an event and I'm hosting something and someone comes up to me, they'll ask, how can I get involved? How can I support? What can I do? And so from there, I'll reach out and say, hey, would you mind joining us for this event this day? And they'll say yes, or maybe not, but that's how it works. I'm hoping that we'll be big enough to just attract people. People will hear about us and reach out. But right now it's, calling a person who's standing next to me as I thought of something, or on my way somewhere and trying to pull someone in. But that's what it looks like. But I truly appreciate everyone who comes in willing to support at whatever capacity. Time is precious to all of us. And when people are giving of their time to be of someone else's mission, right, to support someone else, it is very, very touching. So right now I'm asking for volunteers anywhere I can, and appreciating them. So that's what that looks like.
Is there a profile of a mentor?
A mentor can be anyone that has a good heart and wants to give time, love, compassion, friendship, reliability, and consistency to a young person. That's really what it's about.
Very cool. We've talked about so much. I'm not sure where I am in my question. Can you just talk a little bit about the student, their journey, them deciding to go, what that experience is? You shared a little bit about the first time being on an airplane, but just the student's journey into this international travel experience, from the time they decide to when they get back, and just how their eyes are opened.
It's funny you say that, because I have a couple students now who already told me they're going next year because they get so excited, and I let the students pick where they want to go. So I think for the last couple of years, I've had the same, a core of the same students going. So I said, well, we got back from Costa Rica last year. I said, well, where do you guys want to go next year? And they said, Japan. So we went to Japan. They want to go to South Africa next year. So we're going to work to go to South Africa. But their enthusiasm is contagious, because they are my best marketing, just by word of mouth, by them telling everybody at school. And previously it was kind of, centered with the school I was at, but my goal is to open it to all students in all the high schools in School District of Philadelphia. Because I don't want to limit anybody's opportunity or chance to travel abroad. But literally the kids are my best advertising, because they're so excited and enthusiastic about it.
All right, from Meet the Author and people coming in and hearing these stories, can you share a story of impact with us?
There's some general observations. that they're not individual stories, but it's a good thing that happens. The authors are amazing, and we always learn from them. Their topics are great. But the impact is really the people you meet that come to meet the author. So you have networking time before, you have networking time afterwards, and sometimes the author makes it interactive, so you might have a chance to meet somebody during their talk as well. People leave there with connections that help them find work, that give them answers to questions that they had, that provide them with resources that they didn't know about. So the networking there is absolutely rich, and you leave with more than just a signed book. You leave with a friend.
We're going to start with Next Village. What inspired you to start at this mission to help women heal from childhood trauma? Like, just what does that look like?
What started me was my own background, being an adult survivor of many different kinds of childhood trauma. Once I began my healing journey, I realized that I didn't ever want anyone to feel the way I felt at various times in my life when I wanted to do better and I wanted to heal, but like everything I wanted to do cost money and I didn't really have the money. And so it was much easier to go back into old habits than to try to break into Reiki and yoga and those kinds of things, because I just really didn't have the money to go to a retreat or a workshop. So when I became exposed to that stuff, I knew that I wanted to learn all of that and take it back to my community and basically give it to my community and help them to have the healing that I always wanted as a younger person.
You sound like a volunteer entrepreneur. Like you go in and you see and you start to do and you put the pieces together. I think that's very interesting, that the way that worked out, just from what you were saying. Would you consider yourself a volunteer entrepreneur?
I would say entrepreneur sounds nice. It's a great designation.
All right, this is the art of volunteering. So do you have volunteers that work with you? And if so, how do they fit into your delivery model?
So Maternal Child Consortium, we have about like 50 volunteers every year. We have different seasons where some of the volunteers, they actually come back. That will be maybe having moms and their children. We have specific groups like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts. We do have groups from different corporations. Like, for example, this week we had Enterprise, the corporation who sent like 15 members to help us to reorganize the in-kind donations and our local storage, as we also receive car seats and brand new car seats. And so we have to make sure that we keep the inventory up to date as well as it is well organized. So I will say it's a variety of different groups or maybe individuals who provide a lot of support or volunteer hours to MCAC.
So how do volunteers find you? Or is it because of the nature of what you're doing, they're drawn to it? Or is it word of mouth? Like, what does that look like?
People would just kind of find us. A lot of it is word of mouth, friend of a friend.
That's awesome. So this is the Art of Volunteering podcast. So how do volunteers fit into your mission and vision?
So we don't have volunteers in the normal sense because we are working with youth, right? Most of our primary target is 18 or 17, about to turn 18, but we're in schools. And so you have to have all kinds of clearances to do the work that we're doing, directly engaging with young people. However, volunteers can definitely help by calling up their elected leaders and saying, hey, why don't we have access to, education in all schools around civics? If people want to strengthen democracy, I always do this work in a number of ways. So I work in my community trying to help them understand how this process is a source of empowerment to force people to be responsive to the things we want to see, the policies we need to see to create more equity and equality.
Awesome. So there's volunteers at every segment of your journey. How many volunteers do you think? How many would you say?
Well, of the core, I call them the head volunteers. There's probably between 25 and 30. And then on the outreach to actually run the programs, it's hundreds.
That's amazing. So in 60 seconds or less, why do you volunteer?
I volunteer because of the impact that I know I can bring. I operate with integrity, and I have a lot of values that I think some people in society lack at times. And that's not a dig. It's just that I think I have a robust journey and I have a lot to offer. And when I am volunteering in different positions, I'm thinking of all the people that I know and the things I see in the community and how we can be stronger. And so volunteerism has a special place in my heart.
Okay. Can you share a story of impact? Something that you've seen, whether it be with a client or a volunteer, that you can directly correlate what you're doing in the whole process of tax preparation and how it's impacted, like I said, either the volunteer or the client's life.
I'll be happy to take that one, because those are the stories that help, that bring me back, and certainly that bring back a lot of our volunteers. I mean, we are directly impacting or directly interacting with the taxpayers. One of the best parts is when they come in to get their tax, after the tax return's been prepared, they come in, whether you talk to them on the phone or whether they're coming into the site, you're letting them know what kind of return they're getting. And especially for families with children, you just see the parents' face light up when they find out they're going to get a nice tax return. They know how that's going to impact their lives. And lots of times they come in with their kids too, and the kids are kind of running around having some fun. But it's great to see the impact that we have when we give good news to the taxpayers that they're getting a refund.
I wanted to mention that I just found out that one of the people that I have done her tax return for several years now actually signed up to be a volunteer this year.
Oh, full circle.
She really appreciates our help, and then she has the actual bandwidth to come and help out. And so she's finding that she wants to give back, and that really touched me just the other day.
Well, that speaks volumes to the impact that you're making. Why do you volunteer? Why do either of you? Why is this your passion? Keith, we'll start with you.
I think my parents just kind of bred into me as a giving back to the community, volunteering.
Marnie, why do you volunteer?
I fell in love with the intricacies of search and rescue, training the dogs, what it entails, all of the people that you meet, the community that's, the search and rescue community in itself is very large.
Patty, we are coming to the end of our conversation, and it has been so enriching today. I'm going to give you the mic, and I want you to love on Camp Dreamcatcher. It could be something that we didn't talk about. It can be your campers. It can be your volunteers. Just love on them.
Well, I will love on our volunteers right now. To hear our volunteers make life decisions based on the week of camp is unbelievable to me. Whether it's getting a job, I've had people say, I'm not taking that job because they have to come to camp, or their marriage, or their life choices. So many life choices around that touchstone is amazing to me. And also to see that moment at camp where the kids see their counselor. We know that what is the most significant thing with kids who are resilient, the research has shown, is to have a consistent relationship with an adult in their lives. And that happens at camp. And it's really because of the volunteers and their commitment to come out to camp each year and to give and give and give, especially the young volunteers who used to be campers.
Awesome. Well, we are at the end of our conversation. It's been good. There's a lot that we've covered, and I think my listeners will really have found value in it. But before we go, I want to give you the mic. And in that, I want you to love on your experience as an educator, or your students, or the students that went to New York City with you. Just love on them. Something that we didn't cover, something that you want to share, anything. You have the mic.
There's so many people to praise and to use your language to love on, right? I adore those students that I got to go on that privilege with New York. And I will say, though, that was towards the beginning of my professional career. It probably defined my professional career in a lot of ways, in the sense of my commitment to students, but also my ability to manage crisis. And I really do owe a lot to that experience. But I guess I want to generalize to students in general in that experience, or those who get the opportunity to connect with young people. It is such a critical piece of this journey that I can't deny, and that I want to re-articulate my appreciation for and why it is so critical. I tell people, what makes me excited about this work is not what I'm going to do, right? So I've kind of already accepted I will not be revolutionizing the health, wellness, or well-being of the American people. I can do my best, but it's just not looking like it's in the cards. But what I get to do every day is I get to build out something here at this institution focused on those three things. And what I hope is it plants a seed within our students to say, well, why couldn't it be this beyond this space? And that's the part that I think is truly exciting when we get to do these opportunities and get to connect with these individuals, is it's this idea that we can believe in the importance of volunteerism, like the conversation we're having now, but that when it finds its way into the heart of a young person, it can go far beyond anything that we could imagine.
All right. Is there anything that I missed that you think would be really important to share about the who, why, and what?
Gosh, well, it's probably obvious in what I'm saying, but there is so much opportunity in this space, whether it's corporate volunteering or volunteering individually or nonprofits volunteering. And I think it's so important that anyone who's involved in this work as a profession, it's probably important to acknowledge that they're tired. That any work we do that is deeply connected to our beliefs means we don't get to leave it at the office. It means we take it with us everywhere. And we're trying to live out our beliefs in our work, but it's really hard to hold on to passion and what motivates us and the drive to do it and the belief that it's working. So when we do it well, and when we take care of each other in the process, it's a lot more likely that we're going to see the results that we want to see in the world. And there are a lot of people out there in pain. And this is the kind of thing that gradually and then exponentially, we can start to see healing. We can start to see things going better in society. And I think taking care of each other and those people that are in this belief work in the process is so key so they can keep doing their work.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I have so enjoyed our conversation. It definitely lived up to everything I was thinking it was going to be. So thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I can't wait to share your podcast.
Awesome. All right. I want to thank my guests, my listeners who listened to my guests today. I know that you found value in it as much as I did. I ask that you rate and review this podcast wherever you listen, because it really does help other people hear about the great work volunteers are doing around the world. So thank you, and I will see you next time on The Art of Volunteering. Have a great day.